Oh. Okay. This isn't going to be a massive one. This is that last stream with the conversation. How that was like an hour and a half. This isn't going to be that. It's not even going to be my usual hour-long one. It's going to be like half hour, if that. Um, I'm not feeling the best between lockdown and like haven't been able to go for ages. It's like it's sending me nutty. And that's kind of why on that previous stream with the like, I know the guys are only trying to mess around with me, but it's like when shit in real life is when your toilet's not flushing and the shit's building up, it gets annoying. So like yeah, but this one here I'm just going to show you is um, well the way I do it. 'Cause again, in dreams there's no real correct and right and wrong way. Like when I said when I was doing the puppet thing, it's like you can do it that way if you want, like, but there's certain things like for me being an artist, knowing like anatomically correct layout of a puppet, like the fact that the buttocks there is attached to the leg and not the hip, whereas in a real human being, the buttocks are attached to the hip and not the leg. Um, those little things just annoy me. But I thought I'd show you a quick little trick or technique that I use for making clothes or adding layers. So you do it for the hair and stuff like that as well. Um, and when it comes to things like, for example, the shorts, a lot of people will just sculpt straight on the puppet. But then if you want to come in and go, or let's just say you want to change it from baggy shorts to tight jeans or something like that, you've got to do a whole lot of resculpting and stuff like that. So the technique I use is I'll normally use the grid snap. I want to adjust, I very rarely adjust its sizing and stuff like that because it can't be fucked. And then you just zoom in to the part you want to use is the only part that highlights. So as you see there, the whole puppet has, when I'm there, the whole puppet has the white highlight. Whereas when I'm there, it's just that forearm in it. So if I copied that, it'd be just this piece and this piece will come across. But we want to do the hip. So you got to keep zooming in until it, see how it's like that? That's what you want. So you know that that is the correct spot. And then you just copy that across. And you can remove everything except for what you want to play around with. Because doing that doesn't bring the chip across, because the chips are attached to the whole puppet. Whereas if you're grabbing just the hip and carry it across, the hip is the origin of the puppet, so it will copy everything that's attached to it, which are all the limbs. You just got to delete them, but it won't bring the chip, because the chip isn't attached to the hip. The chip is attached to the puppet, and the hip is attached to the puppet. I don't even know whether it makes any sense when all that. And then with the copied across piece, I'll sculpt onto that. So I'll grab, for example, that, and that. We'll go that. And we'll get positive. Make it easy for us. We'll copy the color. And just say we're going to make baggy shorts. I will then add a bit of blend. Again, remember, the more you go, it's going to end up with like negative. Because if you look at the icon there, it shows you it's like a welding system. So if you add 100%, it's going to add a thicker weld. So the section between the two shapes could bulge out the way. And you don't necessarily want that. And because we're doing baggy pants, we're just going to go there-ish. I normally mirror it so that I don't have to worry about either side. And you do surface snap so that you're not passing through the object. And ideally, not a perfect circle. And then with this, I'm just going to plonk it, we'll say there somewhere. Take it in. Same with like the backside. As you know, when you're wearing pants and stuff like that, unless it's skin tight, it doesn't ride up your butt. So we're going to grab a sphere. I'm not going to go too deep into like lining up perfectly like that. Oh, come on. let me use it. Yep. All we're going to do here is sculpt onto the body that we've got to make it look like it's got something on top of it. So whether it be leather, cotton, denim, whatever, it doesn't matter. And you know how like wrinkles are never like, you don't get the perfectly aligned wrinkles. So always use some variety. So that. Grab another one, we'll bring it down just to the side a little bit like this. We'll say right there somewhere. We'll move forward, just add a bit of bulge. We'll do the same with the back and add a bit of bulge at the top. I'm trying to picture when I wear pants, where the pants bunch, and it's usually like around the belt or like the top of the leg, bottom of the hip where they join. It bunches there a little bit, especially if you're like bending your leg up. That's where it'll bunch. The knee, like when you're bending your knee, it bunches at the back. So I'm trying to think of like those spots. So that's why I like that area there and around the hip line. We'll add a little bit extra, but that's more than enough. It's obviously not skin tight anymore. It looks like there's something on top of it. And because it's going to be on top of it, while that is turned off, but that is turned on, just hover over it and give it a quick tap up on the D-pad, and it will scale it up ever so slightly. Ideally, I should have done it from the top. So if I go from the top, go about the center, because wherever your cursor is and you tap, that's where it's going to scale from. So if you chose, just say from the side there, it'll just go to the left-hand side would be more scaled up, or a scale more towards the left. So that's an ever so slightly larger sculpt than that one. And because I used that, I can now come into this. In fact, I won't do that just yet. I'll do this so you can come into here. I'm just going to quickly paint it. Choose that color, only so you can see the differences. Okay, now we'll grab it and we'll snap it back. And because I used the grid snap, it's obviously going to align back up with the puppet. And while you're coming across, when you go in, make sure you snap into, so only the white outline is on the piece you want it on, and go into it. And then for insurance reasons, we're going to turn off movable, friction, density, collision, and ignore gravity. Turn that one on. That will mean that this here will not interact with anything and it's not going to throw the puppet around. So if we come in and test now, it's attached to the hip, and as you see, it looks not so good. But all we've done is the base sculpt. So we've gone, okay, fold the cloth there, fold the cloth there. But you can still see it's still attached to the puppet and needs to be a little bit wider, so I can adjust all that. But with animations, because I've already animated the hip, as you can see, it will change. And I thought I'd show you this before I go any further, is if you want to correct that, when you're in the editing thing, just go to your, there, find your pose, wrong one, pose, and while you've got the pose active, you can see how off it is. Just click on the edit keyframe, so that the stop record button is there. That means it's recording. Just go in and zoom in until just the piece that is not aligned is highlighted. And then if you go the L1 and then triangle, wrong one. What are you okay, give me a second here. Why are you not doing what you're told? Is there... Okay. I'll turn the grid off to try and fix that problem. I think the grid snap has the same shortcut. There we go. the grid has the grid snapping has the same shortcut. Okay. Because I don't use the grid snaps, like changing where the alignment is. I didn't realize that, but L1 and triangle will then remove the animation from the piece you've got highlighted. So now when I stop record and go back into the puppet and do the pose, it's now aligning correctly to the other thing. So you got to do that with all the poses. So for example, like the run, see how it moves with the run. So to fix that one, you got to do the same thing. And because I've got grid snap turned off now, it should be clearer. Because it's the run animation, you've got to go into the pre-dones, idle, run. So if we click on that one, there's the run pose. And as you can see, it's dropped it down a bit. So we're going to go edit keyframe, highlight so it's only the piece that's incorrect, L1, triangle, and it will snap it back. It works with any piece of the pose, because the L1 and triangle is just removing the pose or the change of direction or change of position of that item. So it works with all poses. So if you've done a pose, the complete pose is the same. As you can see, the hip's down here, but the piece I sculpted is up here. Because the amount it's moved from its original position to here is what it's moving again for it. So we edit pose, highlight so just the piece we want is highlighted, L1 and triangle, it will remove that movement, save. So that's how you remove a extra animation piece, whatever you want to call it. So now that we've got that there, we can now, if we ever want to change this to say tight pants, we can literally just come in, grab this piece, we can either hide it, or we could turn it off, do whatever you want to it. It makes it easier in the long run if you want to change something. And to make it look nicer, you can come into here. Now that you're in the puppet and it's aligned properly, you can grab your sculpts again. This part here, whatever you're happy with doing. Of course they're going to be short, so I'm going to just grab this one. We'll go to about that. I'm going to add some of that. Put it around about there somewhere. Scale it up till it looks like it's about right. Forward to about there. See, that looks fine. Again, it's not perfect, but it's fine. And same with the sides. I wanted to make the size thing. And because I've adjusted the size up a little bit and it's a separate piece, I can now grab any shape, even if it's the original base shapes like the cheeks. I can move them to however I like. I can copy them and it's not going to interfere with the base character. So I'm going to grab one there somewhere, move it out to the side there somewhere. Again, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking to like when I wear pants, where is the bulges, where are the creases, all that sort of stuff, like where are they? And because I'm going to add legs to it, I'm going to add basic legs and I'll show you how to do it. Because they're shorts, we can do baggies, or we can do, I don't want to call them tight because they're not skin tight, but you know, like they follow the contour of the legs, not all like creased up. We're going to grab, it doesn't matter what shape I grab, you'll do. Put to about there, and I'm going to just grab it, make it a little bit more like that. Take it to roughly where the leg is, scale it up a little bit. Okay, and that looks like it could be fine. I'm not going to worry about the crease just there because clothing creases in certain spots. And if you've got a belt or something on, sometimes the stitching there, you can see the crease. So it's like, it can stay. But that looks fine to me. Do a quick little test, make sure the legs don't poke out of those shorts in any way. No, they don't, they're fine. And as you can see, it looks kind of like a filled diaper. We don't want a filled diaper. So we want to make legs for it. The easiest way to do it is just grab a sphere with no mirror, And then while you're on the sphere, if you grab the L1 and square options and click on that once and hollow it out, depending on how loose you want the specs to be, on how much loose, because if you're going to make it very, very loose in the flex system, then don't give it full, because then parts of it become transparent. You'll see through it. It'll become like a lace or something like that. But so that's a half circle or half sphere with a hollowness. We don't have to worry about this because we're not connecting it to the top piece directly. And as if I rotate it, you can see it's got the half circle. And we're just going to grab the end here and just stretch it out to make like an egg shape. And obviously the longer you want the pant leg or the short leg to be, the further you'd stretch that. We'll grab that, we'll rotate it so it's upright. Place it anywhere, align it. Again, you don't have to align it, but I hate it when I don't align it, it annoys me. And then I can back out. And then that is going to be the pant leg. So we're going to scale it to roughly the right size. Again, don't have to scale exact while you're doing it in this stage. You can always adjust. And move back to here. And we'll say about there. Now ideally, I would tilt it sideways. But I'm not going to this, I'm going to leave it straight. I'll move it to about there, looks good. And then I'm just going to clone it with that one, not that one, and then just go across. If I was going to angle it, I would have used the L3 rotate. But because I haven't altered its angle, I'm not going to do, oh, I could do it, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to go straight across and move it to there. Get to it roughly aligned. Okay, that looks fine. Again, you could sit there and you can detailing like that. Now with both these, we've got to make sure, again, insurances, collision, movable, friction, density are all at nothing, and the ignore gravity is turned on, just so it doesn't interfere with the puppet. So when it's walking, this object is not going to hit the leg and go, okay, and let's throw the leg around. And now we can just grab with the grid snap turned on, each one, and we're going to attach it to the leg piece. So the little white outline is just on this leg piece. And do it with both. Grab and attach. So now this and this are attached to that and that in regards to each other. So there we have a pair of shorts. Now, of course, we've got to match the color, so we'll come in. Well, we don't have to, but you know, to make it look like it belongs. Turn grid snap off. And remember to turn its hollowness back off. Easiest way, instead of going into the, you know, bringing up that and doing all this again, if you just want to reset it to an exact circle, just come in here, go any other shape, doesn't matter which one you choose, and then go back to it. It will then be the full circle again. It'll be reset. Done. Ideally, I should put some creases and stuff like that in it, but I'm not going to bother. And then just do a quick test, walk around. It all looks fine. But that's how you do, or how I do, a basic pair of pants, or a pair of shorts, or underwear, or you do the hair the same way. Hair, I normally don't copy, move it across. In fact, I'll do it so I can show you. I don't normally come in and go like, let's grab the head, copy it across and move it. I will just start from a sphere. Just grab a sphere. Doesn't matter on the color so much because we're going to paint it. Make sure it's on the positive, so obviously we're doing that. And then mirror it. Scale it to roughly the same size as the head. Add a little bit of blend because obviously we're not going in and putting each piece of hair, like every strand. We are literally just doing the basics, and obviously insurances, no, no, none, none, and ignore gravity. This one doesn't matter so much. This one does, because if you give it a heap of density and attach it to the head, I'll just show you quickly. So if you're making an afro, there's an afro. So that's got a heap of density, so which means it's heavy or got a lot of mass to it. So when you walk around, if you do a move, the character's joints, if they have any sort of give to them, it will cause the density of the hair to affect them, and it can cause it to give you like a floppy head. So if it's really dense and your neck joint has a little bit of give to it, and usually with when I say the give and stuff like that, if I come in, for example, we'll grab that joint there. We're talking about this one here, and those ones there, and obviously the angle. If any of these have any sort of major giveness to them, the density of that can affect it. It doesn't always, but it can affect it. So I usually give myself the insurances of it's not going to affect it by making sure my density of that is turned down. Actually, it's a good. It tells you there. So if you turn it right up, then that hair weighs 26 kilo or kilograms. Whereas if it's there, it doesn't weigh anything. And let's face it, your hair, unless you've got really long hair, then by all means turn it up a little bit. But I normally turn it just straight off. That way it's not going to affect it, and it doesn't matter how much I put on top of it. Everything I add to it has no density, so it is not going to affect base puppet. And then from that point there, with it aligned to roughly where the hairline needs to be, which would be about, yeah, there sounds good. Then we can just sculpt on top of that, like we did with the shorts, where the hair is, and it'll go again. Hair's not smooth, so we're going to give it some bumps and lumps and stuff like that. I'm not on the hair there, am I? I'm on the skull. Let's try that again. The hair. There we go. And just align it. If you want to give strands and stuff like that a go, it's not that hard, it's just time consuming. So just say you wanted to go, let me just quickly whack a back of this head on, just to give it the base hair look. Okay, so we'll go there, a little bit. Okay, that's fine for now. So just say I wanted to add a strand. My suggestions, because again, this one here, there's no right and wrongs. It's like, do what you feel works best for you. My favorite way of doing it is, again, with the sphere. When you've got it, you want to give it, again, a little bit of blend, not a lot. And instead of going half, we're going to go quarter. And again, hollow it. And then stretch out it that way. So you've got, I don't even know what you'd call that shape, a quarter circle thing. And then you just place that where you want the strands, and then align to how you like it. And that's how I prefer to do it. But again, you could use the paint system. You could come in and grab, we'll back out, and grab the paint system, that one. And you could use, what do we want over here? We don't want any of them active. We can grab that, align it to how we want it. Paint. You could do that. And neither of them is right, neither of them is wrong. It's like, what do you prefer to do? That will give you more, the paint one will give you a more realistic look. So people doing the realistic looks, they'll use a lot more of the paints, because they can get the flecks. Because that there technically is one fleck. It's huge, but it's one fleck. And if you zoom in, each one of those little squares is the same as that big thing there. It's not a fleck, it's actually multiple flecks, if I remember correctly. But it's basically the same as like grabbing one of those squares and scaling it up. In fact, if I grab the paint tool and leave it on that and plonk it, that, back out, that is one of those little ones. So that is one fleck. That is one fleck. that is like a bazillion of these. But these are all squares. They are all blades, if you want to call it that. Grass blades, hair strands, whatever. That's why when you grab this one, you go L1 and square, and you go to the styling. This stuff here is adjusting whether it's that, whether it's stretched that, whether it's smaller that, whether it's bigger that, whether they're closer together or further apart. And when you come into here and go to style, if you choose the exact same fleck you chose for that, for example that one, and then edit change this one, now every single little square that was there will be one of these. And if you come in close, you can see them. I don't know exactly how they do it, but I believe the ones on the surface show the detail, but as you go further in, they've just become like a blurry, I want to say like a cube, but it's like a weird unknown shape. It's a randomized shape. And then if you loosen it, remember how I said you don't want the the hollowness to be at 100% because if you loosen it off, it'll start going see-through. See how see-through it is there? It's because that was so thin. So you can only go to like, say there before it starts going wet, and you can see like the blurriness of the underlayer. And because it's all looking to the side there and you want it to go with the thing, that's where the brush tool comes in, which is in here. Oh, that one. Comb, not brush. And you just, where you start from, move in the direction you want the hair to be pointing. And it does that. So it's like, I don't believe it's the length, like if you move it far, it doesn't make any difference. If you go there and then there, it will rotate it. So you just gotta, like that, and it's now following the thing. And that's how I would do hair. I wouldn't necessarily use that, but I don't say to anyone don't do it that way because it's perfectly fine. It's more than legit. And in certain aspects, like if you're doing a realistic character, it's actually a better option to do that because it looks more realistic. Hey viewer, the stream's nearly over. I'm going to be ending it in like 4 minutes, but by all means, I'm just showing you how to layer in Dreams, like how to add extra sculpts to the base sculpt so that if you want to change it later, you're not altering your creation at the base, you're altering the added on parts. So for example, if all of a sudden I feel like this character, its pants, like the legs are too smooth, I can now change the detail on the pant leg, and I am not changing the actual base sculpt. And if I want to make it, so for example, they're long pants, just make a new sculpt that goes over the top. Or if I want to make it so that they're shorter pants, I can literally come in here, and for example, this pant leg, if I want them to be different lengths, I can literally grab a negative square, come into here, and go there somewhere. Make sure I get the whole one, and do that. So now I've got one leg up, one leg down, but I have not edited the base sculpt in any way, and it makes it so much easier to change styles or silhouettes and that sort of stuff. Because in animation, they have a technique of you should be able to tell a character apart by its silhouette. So, for example, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Roger Rabbit himself, if it was literally just a black and white movie, but the characters were black and everything else was white, so like shadows, you would still see, oop, that's Roger Rabbit because of his silhouette. And then same with his wife, Jessica Bunny. Well, she's called Bunny, but oh no, Jessica Rabbit. Why she's called Rabbit when she's not a rabbit is because she's married to whole thing there. Don't worry about it. Her silhouette, you can tell it's her by her silhouette. Anime characters, that's why you'll see they'll have all those crazy spiky haircuts or massive changes in like way oversized breasts or no breasts. Eyes, massive eyes or small eyes. That sort of stuff. It's all because of the silhouette. You should be able to look at a character and in a heartbeat go, that's that character, and better play off that. And that's why if you layer your character, you can change from, for example, if I clone this character right now, and just say I want to make twins, but I don't want the twins to look exactly the same, but look similar, I can literally come into this one, get rid of that, and instead put it onto this leg. Like that. So now just looking at the silhouette, you can go, okay, that's twin A, that's twin B, because that leg has got the left leg on that character has got the short leg, and that's the opposite. And if you want to go even further, you could make a completely different style of pant leg. You can make one have a baggy one and one have a tight one. And because you're not changing the base puppet, they're still twins. Those two are exactly the same puppet, but they clearly look different. Well, that one's subtle, but you know, you get what I mean. That's why I prefer to do the layering this way. So I am not, any change you want to make to the outfit, I'm not changing the base puppet. It also helps when you're doing things like, just say like a combat game, and you want to make it so that, for example, the character gets damaged. You can turn around, I'll delete the second puppet. You could turn around and say like, let's grab this one here. I'm going to, using grid, clone, move that to the side. So we're rescuing that one. Then we're going to come into this one, do that. And then this one's a shorter leg and that's a longer leg. We're going to grab them both and just quickly label it like, we'll go full, half. So we've now got two pieces. One's a full piece, one's a half piece, and they're both attached to the leg, and they're both in the exact same spot. So now if I come into the puppet and tell it in here, normally you would hide it, wire it up to the health and go using the, where are we? Calculator there, and go if it's greater than from the health 80 health. If it's greater than 80 health, that the full one's to be shown. If it's less than 80 health, the half is to be shown. But I'm just going to wire it up to the button. It'll make it quicker. So if we grab this one here, which was the pose before, and when it's on the beast, so when it's doing the pose, we'll have, actually I'll do it through the vision. We'll have the half show, and when it's not on that pose, we'll have the full show. So now when this puppet walks around, it's got the full pant leg, but the second whatever we've wired up to do happens, like I'll push triangle, you'll see now that the pant leg has gone short because it's swapping models. So that's why I normally do it this way. But I'm going to call it here. Go some dinner. Try and get well again. But I'm going to try and do my streams on dreams like this and just focus on one thing. So yeah, if you have any questions, don't be embarrassed or anything like that. Ask for the help. I don't mind giving it. I'm going to upload this one again just so you can see the clothing change and stuff like that. It's not a great deal, but it's like if it helps you, it helps you. So I'm going to call it here. Everyone stay safe, and I'll catch you all next time. And look after each other. Adios, my fans, my viewers, my whatever you want to call yourselves, my haters. Stay safe. Catch us next time.